I am 27 years old and I currently have a net worth that is over 100K.
The average net worth of a 23-year-old is negative $31,571.
Here's my net worth as a 28-year-old who's spent his entire career so far in finance. It adds up to about $850,000 saved.
People are posting their net worth online and it is insane. You've got like 24-year-olds saying their worth is over $800,000. Someone else is 32 with $4 million in the bank, and they're just casually breaking down how they did it like it's no big deal. But it's made me wonder, how realistic is all of this? Are these people just outliers in society, or are they even telling the truth to us? And is it even realistic to build that type of wealth in today's day and age? In this video, we're gonna look at the numbers real people are posting, how they actually got there, and what they did with their money once they had it. We're gonna break down the strategies, the mistakes, and the patterns that keep showing up between all these videos. And we'll even compare all of it to real hard data, what the average is, and what the median net worth looks like by age group, and what it actually takes to be in that top 1%. So guys, if you've ever actually wondered where you stand financially or what's possible if you play your cards right, then you might want to tune in to today's episode. And also, if you're comfortable, feel free to share your age and your net worth down in the comments below, as I'm sure we could all use the help and benefit off others' advice. Otherwise, let's get right into today's episode.
Here is my net worth update as a 29-year-old who kind of sort of has her finances together. It's been a hot minute since I've shared my net worth with you guys, so I'm very excited. As always, starting off with my debts, my credit card is now at 0. My car loan is at $13,294, so my total debt is $13,294. For cash in my high yield savings account, which is taxes, and in my emergency fund, I have $6,810. In my joint savings account, I have $32,750, and in my regular checking account, I keep about $300. So that total comes to $39,860. For my investments, I have a brokerage account that has $8,500, and my 401k has $25,900. And I have a Roth IRA that has $7,018. So my total in that category is $41,418. Then I'll add together the investments in cash, because those are the positive numbers, subtract my debt, and that leaves me with a positive net worth of $67,984.
I mean, honestly, it's not bad. To have a net worth of $67,000 is certainly ahead of a lot of people. We'll find out later on in the video where that stacks to have 67 grand at 29 years old. I'd say she's probably maybe in the middle, or if not even lower at that point. We'll find out. I think you probably at the age of 30 should have probably closer to $100,000, but we'll double check in a little bit. But let's go through this column by column. Credit card, 0. That's awesome, because having consumer debt is terrible. It's the worst type of debt because the interest rates on them are atrocious. We're talking credit card rates now with like 35% interest. You'll never be able to get ahead of that. The car loan at $13,294. I'll never understand, especially with everything else she has there, why she's holding on to this. Because at the end of the day, it's just kind of moving numbers on the paper. You can see she's doing her net worth right. She's subtracting, her debits from her credits, her, cash from her debts, and the remaining balance is $67,000. So why are we holding on to the car loan of $13,000? That's interest working against you, not for you. And you clearly have the money that would pay it off. So just rip the Band-Aid off already. I mean, there's two claims I already know you guys are going to be jumping in the comments for. The first one being, oh, you can build your credit up with that. That is such a piss poor excuse. No offense. There are so many better alternative ways than to be carrying debt and paying interest on that debt to boost your credit score. You know how you can boost your credit score? Pay your credit card off and only use a small percentage of your credit limit. Trying to stay below 30%, and if you're really good, below 10% credit utilization can really boost your credit score. I've never had a car payment. I've always paid my credit score off in full, less than 10% credit utilization. And I'm 27 years old and I have a credit score of over, I think 815. I think I'm right around 815. And then the second rebuttal you guys are going to have is, oh, well, that money can make more invested in a high yield savings account or in the stock market. And honestly, not really. I mean, the only reason I can understand holding onto a car loan is maybe if it has 0% interest, right? Because, okay, then you would make more money in the stock market. But then, you know, aside from the analytical viewpoint of things, you also have to have an emotional outlook of things. And most people have emotional approaches when it comes to money and, you know, making their decisions. They're not guided by analytics and credit and mathematics. So for most people, writing a check for $13,000 hurts emotionally. They'd rather swallow a smaller pill of a $300 or $400 a month car payment and just keep paying that off until it's gone. But at the expense of you paying interest over several years, interest that is going to work against you. It doesn't make any sense to me. And then to rebuttal the whole, oh, I'll invest it in a high yield savings account, or, oh, I'll invest it in the stock market. Well, yes, if you invested in an index fund, you could earn an average of 8 to 10%. That's correct. But the thing is, if you put that money away and you lock that money up, well, you now need to find some other source of income to pay off that monthly payment. You need to find another source of income because that $13,000 is locked up in the stock market. Now you need to use additional income to pay that monthly payment off. And then depending on your interest rate on your car loan, it might not even be worth it. If you have a 5% or a 4% interest rate on your car loan and you're only making 8 or 9% in the stock market, that's practically the same thing. It's a complete wash. There's no point. Think about it. You make 7 or 10% in the stock market. You owe 30% of it in capital gains in taxes if you decide to withdraw it, which you guys would be doing. So your 10% goes to 7, or your 8% goes to 6 or 5. You're breaking even or you're losing money. Doesn't make any sense. High yield savings account, 3.5%. 4%. So then you pay interest on that. So you're only making 2%. Unless you have a 0% car loan, you're losing money investing it in a high yield savings account. Anywho, I wanted to read a couple of comments that you guys had left on previous episodes on the channel. And if you guys want to get featured in the next episode, definitely make sure to drop a comment down below. And also, while you're at it, click the link at the top of the description as we are doing the 50,000 subscriber milestone giveaway. It is completely free to enter. We're giving away $100 free on PayPal. I'm just going to send it to you guys. Completely free to enter. No strings attached. The only thing I recommend you guys doing is subscribing and turning on post notifications. The drawing ends in less than 2 weeks. And if you're not subscribed, you might miss out when we make that video, and then I might have to pick another winner. Man, just finance it. Carry the loan for 3 months and pay the $300 interest, then pay it off in full. You get less stress arguing, and they make a few bucks off the bank. This goes back to when I did purchase my brand new car and I was going back and forth with the sales associate, the sales manager, and the finance manager. 3 people bickering that they didn't want to take my cash. They'd rather me finance it, have me unlock my credit score, pay $300 in interest after the 3 months, get them their kickback, and then finally pay off the car, lower my credit score because they have to do a hard inquiry. It's a whole lot of nonsense when I could just write a check and be out the door, which is eventually what I did. But unless they're giving me some extreme crazy discount, you know, an additional $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 off the car, there's no reason for me to do that. So a lot of you guys, this one wasn't as bad, but a lot of you guys were just saying, just finance it, just finance it, just finance it. And as I've said before, it doesn't really make sense for most people. I'd have probably financed it, to be honest. I can make it much better. I can make a much better return on investing than 0.9%, LOL. And that's coming from a CFP who hates debt. Again, I just don't like the emotional toll of having a car payment where I have to pay several $100s a month on it. And guess what? On the car that I bought, the car payment would have been, I think, about $1,000 a month, which is absolutely insane over the course of 7 years. Also made a mistake. It wasn't 0.9, it was 3.9. The couple months before that, Mazda was offering 0%, so I got a little confused when I was making that video. But it's still not worth it to me. I'd rather not play that game. I'd rather free up my cash flow and get to use that money for investing or something else.
Here is my net worth update as a 28-year-old. I turned 28 today, so a fresh 28-year-old. Diving right in. Checking account, $6,352. Savings account, $1,098. I just kind of leave that there. Don't really do anything with it. Cold hard cash, $315. Emergency fund, I moved some more money into this because it's in a high yield savings account to set aside for taxes coming up, $24,747. Okay. Moving on to investments, my 401k from my old job, it's just been sitting there. I need to roll it over. 401k, $38,348. I have a health savings account, $13,957 that is invested. Roth IRA, this one gets people $158,687. I've rolled over past 401ks into that account. That's been open now for 7 years. The rollovers don't count against the yearly contribution limits. That's why it's so high. I also have a traditional IRA from rolling over a different 401k, $18,929. And then just a regular taxable brokerage account, $55,268. I don't have any student loans.
Very cool.
I don't have a car loan. My only credit card debt right now is $26. I pay those off every month. This makes my net worth $317,674. This time last year, my net worth was $230,000. In that year, I have invested $27,000, and my net worth has gone up so much. So this is your sign to invest.
Oh, yeah, totally agree. I mean, the power of compound interest is insane. I think the markets are up like 15, 20% this year alone, which is fantastic. I mean, can you imagine like getting 20% on anything and everything you invested at the start of the year? It's insane. $300,000 at 28 years old is definitely ahead of the curve. Let's just say that. The last person, I think, was 29 and she had 67K. Here's somebody at 28 with $300,000. So we just have so many people at different ends of the spectrum. But either way, to not be, in the negatives is certainly a good thing. The one comment I would make on there is her high yield savings account seemed a little bit low. She says it was just for like saving up for taxes and stuff like that, or an emergency fund. I don't know if she even said that, but I would think I would have just a slightly higher emergency fund, but that does sound good. I don't know how her position is, her job, stuff like that. I'm self-employed. I have a slightly higher emergency fund, closer to like 60, 70K. Her maybe it was 20 and then 4,000 is for, taxes and stuff. If that's the case and she makes 60, 70K and that 20 grand can last her about, 4 to 6 months, then it's okay. And remember, an emergency fund should be, I'd even say 6, because I'm more conservative, 6 to 8 months of expenses, living expenses, to get you through a crisis. You get fired, you lose your job, which was the previous video that we just made. Highly recommend you check that episode out. But that's what it's there for. So I think I would move a little bit more into there. That's just me, but otherwise, it was phenomenal. The issue here is that you shouldn't need to have a side hustle to just live. And nowadays, it seems like you can't even pay rent without having to have a second job. This is interesting. And I think for a lot of people, even my parents growing up, I mean, when they had apartments, they had roommates. For the most part, for a long time, they had roommates, and that's probably how it was for a lot of people. I don't know if there was ever a time where you could just afford your own apartment by yourself and have a nice one. It seemed a bit too difficult, but always having roommates was a good way to kind of reduce that, that burden and put more money into your pocket at the end of every month here. I don't know if I fully agree with this. I mean, yeah, that'd be great if, you had a job that could pay off everything, all your expenses, then have money set aside for savings, and then also bring in, some fun money just to spend on whatever. But it's not the case. Don't know if it ever was. Obviously, for certain people, it could have been, but I don't think there's anything wrong with having a side hustle. I think it's a great way even then to get ahead of the curve and really put yourself several years ahead of where you could be when it comes to your finances.
The average net worth of a 23-year-old is negative $31,507.
Average Gen Z net worth by age, 23, class of 2022, negative 31 grand. At 24, 23,000. At 25, negative 17,000. FYI, I was the class of 2020 and I didn't have a net worth of negative 17 by then. I think when I graduated, I had maybe, I don't know, probably like 60 or 70K to my name at 21 years old. Class of 2019, we are at negative $17,000. Wow.
$1, meaning if you're 23 years old and your net worth is anything above zero, then technically you're doing a lot better than the average. Here are my own recommendations that would apply to anyone just starting out in their career. Go and make sure you open up a Roth IRA.
Yep.
This is one of the best retirement accounts out there. If you want your money to grow enough to make you $50,000 a year by the age of 60 without you ever having to work another job in your entire life, you can do that entirely within a Roth IRA with as little as $416 a month. It's a lot easier to start now than to push it off later.
Yep, that's totally true. And I wanted to give you guys real hard data that explains pretty much everything that you need. This is ChatGPT. I just figured it'd be easier to use this to kind of gather all the information that we need. And as you can see, this pretty much populated and pulled the information from actual real accredited sources, which we can check later on. But you can see here, these figures are drawn from the DQYDJ net worth by age tables based on Federal Reserve SCF data collected in 2022, released in 2023. We don't have an updated version. I don't think it's that far off. I think anything after the pandemic is pretty accurate, but we have at between 18 and 24, your net worth, the average net worth is $112,000. The top 1% is $650,000 by the age of 24, which is insane. For those that don't know, that's why it's throwing off the average net worth, because it's skewed when you include someone, the outlier of having $650,000 when most people have 10 grand. It really skews it. So we're going to use the median. So if you have roughly $10,000 as a net worth between 18 and 24, you're doing okay. To be in the top 1%, 650 grand. Between 25 and 29, the median net worth is $31,000. The top 1% is 2.1 million. That is insane. That is such a massive leap. From 29 to 34, another 5 years, the median net worth again is 88 grand, and it only went from 2.1 to 2.6. So that gives you a lot of time to catch up. From 25 to 34, the big jump there between the top 1% is really not large at all. Then 35 to 39 is 4.7 million in the top 1%, 138,000 median net worth. From 40 to 44, we have 134 grand, $7.8 million in the top 1%.
Your net worth is negative $14,000.
Negative $14,000. That's not bad. 14 is actually my lucky number, I think $14,000 is really not that bad, Caleb.
It's negative.
Negative what? In terms of what?
Net worth. Your worth.
Why does that matter?
You're talking about being rich and successful. Your net worth is what you calculate for wealth success.
I mean, you could calculate worth by multitude of things.
We're talking financial worth.
Not like self-worth?
No, you're talking about being rich and successful. Your net worth is how you calculate that.
Oh, okay.
Your net worth is negative 14,000. Did you not know this?
No,
Are we starting from scratch here?
A little bit,
basic,
yeah.
bare middle school minimum?
Yeah. I mean, I always look in the mirror first, I never look down. I always look at the mirror. I always look ahead is what they say. I think you should try that.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Here, take a hit. It's metaphorical. That's a Jack RLP reference. Funny videos. Definitely check him out. See, that's probably how most people just get by day to day. Zero thought about net worth or money or finances. It's just not on the table. No, they don't think about it. And they end up having net worths in the negatives, in lots and lots and lots of debt. Y'all are crazy. 2 to 4 jobs. I showed this to my uncle, 58, and in his 20s, he worked one job, 40 hours, and made enough to start a rental empire of over 40 homes. Stop normalizing all these side hustles and question why our dollar is worth a fourth of the value it was in the past 30 years. Well, if I spent all that time trying to question why the dollar went down and I don't actually act and I start passing blame on everyone else, I'll never be able to get ahead. Oh, poor me, playing the victim here. You're going to have to start taking your life a little more seriously instead of passing blame onto others because, nobody's going to give you money or give you a job for you. I mean, yes, was your uncle lucky, but, he's one person. Yeah, he did well. It doesn't mean every single person back then did well as well.
These are the median net worths by age in 2024, according to the Federal Reserve data. And what you'll notice is that the median net worth at age 20 is actually in the positive, which was surprising to me because I feel like a lot of people have student loans. But as you go through the ages, it actually doesn't accumulate as quickly as I would think.
That's what
for example, at 59 years old, if you only have $352,000 in net worth, which is your assets minus your liabilities, you might not be able to retire by the time you're 65 because you're going to need a lot more money than that to retire. If there's one takeaway that we can take away from this data is that most people are not great accumulators of wealth, probably because they don't even track their net worth or maybe track their expenses and their income. Like a boxer trying to cut weight, you need to know how much you weigh in order to hit your weight class. And so the same thing applies with finance. We need to be aware of where we're at in our financial journey in order to hit these goals. And my goal with this channel is to help you eclipse these numbers of median net worth. So hopefully by the time you are the age of 59, you don't have 352,000, you have 700,000 or even $1 million or more. Things are still really hard in America and other countries. Every time I log into social media, I see a lot of comments about how things are really tough, or maybe I see a TikTok about it. Let me know in the comments if you're still experiencing that, or if there's a vocal minority of you guys that are actually doing quite financially well. What are you guys doing in order to do that? Maybe some people can learn from you in the comments. Thanks.
I feel like people don't realize how little $350,000 actually is. Like if you give that to like a 22-year-old or 23-year-old, they're probably going to think they're rich. You know, they came into so much money, and it is in a sense a lot of money. But when it comes to like retirement and trying to live off of that, it's not going to get you that far if you really think about it. Let's say you try to live off of $50,000 a year, which is, you know, pretty marginal. It's nothing crazy. And you have 350 grand in your 401k. Well, guess what? In order to take out 50K from a 401k, you have to actually withdraw closer to like $75,000. So think about it. 7, 14, 21, 28, 35. That's only 5-ish years. 5.5 years is how quickly $350,000 will go. So if you retire at 65, well, you're going to have $0 in your account at 70. So hopefully now you can see why only having 350K really isn't that much money, especially at that age. If you had that when you're younger and you invest it and you don't touch it, then it's very impressive, because by the time it comes to retirement, that 350 is going to be closer to like 3.5 million. Hustle culture is beyond toxic. What do y'all need this money for? Oh yeah, everyone wants a new car. I can't even. I clean houses in a small Midwestern town. Although it's on a Great Lake, I work 32 hours a week and made $72,000 last year. That's actually awesome. I love to clean, make my own hours, set my own rates, and pick my clients. Love it. That's super cool. Hopefully, you know, she has her own business. If not, she's working for someone and she can make her own hours. That's also really cool. But yeah, I am a huge advocate of working for yourself and starting your own business. Maybe it starts as a side hustle and it grows into something bigger. You don't necessarily have to monetize your hobbies. I agree to a certain extent. Maybe hobbies should stay hobbies, but side hustles are certainly something I recommend starting. Eventually, they can get so big that they can overtake your full-time job, and the sky's the limit when it comes to, how much money you can make.
This isn't financial advice, but the best financial decision I ever made was buying Bitcoin in 2017. I spent every single dollar I had to my name, which is $5,000, to buy 1.25 Bitcoin, and that $5,000 is now worth over $140,000 because Bitcoin just hit an all-time high today of $115,000. And it's crazy to me that people are still so skeptical and scared of that asset class.
Is that mashed potatoes or sushi? And why are we... Just take the bite, dude.
I get the day-to-day fluctuations can be pretty volatile and can be scary, but over the last 10 years, Bitcoin has been the best performing asset class. Just look at every single major company out there. They are either buying or accepting Bitcoin or investing in Bitcoin themselves. Again, this is not financial advice, but this is just what I've done and what I'll continue doing. I buy Bitcoin every single day, and a lot of people think it's too late. Oh, I can't afford one Bitcoin or half a Bitcoin. It doesn't matter. There's 100 million Satoshis in one Bitcoin, just like there are 100 pennies in a dollar. If you have the extra money to invest, just throw a couple dollars a day, per week, whatever, and just stack up some Satoshis. Because like it or not, Bitcoin is here to stay. The world that we live in is getting more and more digital, and not just millions of people around the world are investing into it now, but the biggest companies and businesses and BlackRock, the people who own the world, that should tell you something.
Yeah, but to compare it to these big companies, they have money to lose. They actually have a crap load of money, unlike most people that, want to start investing or taking it seriously. I wouldn't start with crypto. Don't get me wrong. I love cryptocurrency. I've been involved in cryptocurrency for close to a decade now, but one thing you have to consider is if you don't have money, it is an extremely high-risk asset class. Most people cannot stomach the highs and lows that cryptocurrency takes. Most people can barely stomach the highs and lows an index fund can take, which only might fluctuate 10 to 20%. So to see Bitcoin collapse 85% and wipe out practically everything you invest, most people will pull that money out because they're afraid, and they'll end up losing money, and then it won't become, an actual asset or an investment to them. So I only recommend or we consider investing in cryptocurrency when you have money to lose, if that makes sense. Like you already have an established emergency fund, you already have investments, you already have paid off all your debt, you're making a good living, and you have some extra play money, some extra cash that if you lost it or you spent it on something, it wouldn't affect you at all. Like you wouldn't even know it's gone. Then you want to throw some money into there. Okay. But I'd max say maybe 5% of your overall investing portfolio, and then I wouldn't go anywhere near it. I earn $15 an hour delivering auto parts. I detail cars on Saturdays at Side Job. Take home is around $2,400. I also have a marketing side job for $1,000 a month. Wow, that's $3,400 a month. I am debt free. I have $350,000 in my retirement account. Wow, I haven't had a car payment in 30 years. I have been debt free for 20 years. Even people who earn little can save a lot. You just have to live below your means. I love it. And that shows you the power and the potential you have to growing there. We started off in the beginning of this episode, in the intro, talking about what people can do to realistically make a lot of money. And here's, a case where somebody's got over $350,000. And really what it comes down to is just living below your means, investing as early as you can, and allowing compound interest to work for you and not against you, like a car loan, like consumer credit card debt, or a mortgage. They're all not necessarily good for you. Even a mortgage is not good for you. But, we've just kind of normalized it as, as an okay poison, if that makes sense. And I get it. It is something that most people, aspire to have and to get. But you want to pay it off as fast as you can, because most mortgages, the interest costs more after the amortization than the actual mortgage you took out in the beginning.
Here's my net worth as a 28-year-old who's spent his entire career so far in finance. I really value being transparent with you guys, and I know there'll be some comments that will hate on this, so I encourage people who don't know, just watch back through my videos. I went to Duke for undergrad, graduated with a lot of student debt, made a very conscious decision to go into investment banking, and then after that I worked at a private equity firm and have basically been in finance my whole career. So this is not mommy and daddy money. I didn't inherit this. I didn't, get this from anyone. I earned this. So I have 2 brokerage accounts. The first brokerage account has $340,000 in it. And the second brokerage account has about $300,000 in it. I have an IRA, which has about $150,000 in it, and a Roth IRA that has about $25,000 in it. I also have a 401k with about $10K in it. I have a checking and a savings account, which between the two of them has about $15,000 in it. And then I also own a car that is financed. So the net value of the car after I would pay off the loan would be about $10,000 on the car, which in total that adds up to about $850,000 saved. This is all rounded. These are not exact numbers, but roughly $850K across all the different places that I have money saved. And I want this to be an empowering, uplifting video, not a look at how much money I have. It's I think those are annoying. I've lived a relatively modest lifestyle relative to how much I make, but I still definitely spend money on stuff, enjoy my life, travel, do things. I just don't do anything crazy. I just wanted to share that with you guys. I don't really have anything else to say about it. But yeah, I hope that was informative.
Again, I have no understanding why somebody with an $850,000 net worth is going to carry, a car note. Just pay it off. It's $10K. Done. Why pay it? It makes no sense to me, unless it's 0%, unless you're getting some sort of advantage with your business. But even then, it just, I don't know. I'm just the type of person that doesn't like to have that many forced payments at the end of every month. I don't like the feeling of having to owe someone money. I'd rather not be in someone else's debt. You know, I want to be on even terms with people, so I pay everything off immediately here. But I guess some people enjoy, you know, owing others money. That's just not me. It's just not it. I mean, that's an awesome net worth. Really what it comes down to is, like I've always said, my analogy is fix the hole in your pocket, because no matter how much money you bring in, if there's a hole in your pocket, it's all going to go away. It's all going to come out. So stop spending your money on everything. Constant junk and consumeristic tendencies and behaviors. Reduce and live a minimalistic lifestyle. Live below your means. And then the next step is focus on trying to build up your income as big as you possibly can. Because think about it. Who's going to get to $1 million faster? Somebody making $40K a year or somebody making, you know, $150,000 a year? It's pretty obvious. I manage the bills. We bring home around $150,000 a year combined income. We are debt free. See, this is awesome because, again, somebody with a combined income like that can get to, especially if they're debt free and they have and they live below their means, can very quickly get to, you know, these millionaire milestones much faster than somebody who's reckless with their money and loves spending.
I am 27 years old and I currently have a net worth that is over 100K.
Wow, that's awesome.
Was it easy? No. Is it possible? Can you do it? Yes. And I'm going to give you some tips that I just feel like people just like, come on, listen up. I'm just hoping that things that I've done, it will give you a jump start into getting your financial life and situation together. Open up a Roth IRA, specifically one with Fidelity, Schwab, Vanguard. I personally love Fidelity, but you can pick one with Fidelity, Schwab, Vanguard. Now, once you...
I'm going to pause. If it was me, the first thing I would do is pay off all my debts, because I want every dollar that I have to be working for me and not against me. And I can't do that if money is going to other people's pockets plus interest. Doesn't make any sense.
Open it up, which I feel like is just the first hurdle. You got to pick investments. And specifically, pick ETFs or mutual funds.
Yep.
Now,
or index funds. Mutual funds, index funds, kind of subcategory of each other, but I prefer index funds. Mutual funds typically have a higher expense ratio. They cost more in fees to have than index funds, which are passively managed portfolios.
I was trying to decide what ETFs I wanted to pick. I went on Reddit. And Reddit, literally, if you just type in ETFs to put in Roth, you will see a consistent theme of people suggesting the same thing. So that's what I just did.
Yep.
You know, I picked what people were talking about. I mean, granted, I also did a little bit of my research, but most likely people are going to suggest VOO, SCHD. Fidelity has their own version of the S&P 500. Just, if anything that is the S&P 500, just pick that. And you don't have to make it complicated. Don't make it complicated. That's what I did wrong when I was first starting. I made it really too complicated.
Pretty much. Just buy those. You don't need to have 50 different, you know, index funds or mutual funds. Just pick 2, maybe 3 max, and you'll be good to go. I learned a lot of my information. Honestly, all my knowledge came from YouTube, came from Reddit, and came from Boggleheads Forum. Just do those 3, and I've learned so much. And then every year, I kind of reevaluate my portfolio, and I've done really, really, really well.
Make it complicated. Just pick one. Pick one for now. And then once you feel comfortable and you feel like, all right, I'm going to like really spice it up, then you can go ahead and do more. But just pick one. Specifically the S&P 500, anything that tracks that, pick that and invest. And you, by putting it in the stocks will, the ETFs, all that stuff will make it grow. It's all compounding. You're going to grow. It's going to grow. It's going to keep going and it's going to snowball.
Yep.
And if you just don't look at it and look back, you'll see like in like 20 something years, oh shit, my $500 turned into $5K or 50, you know, who knows? And I think that
was really, 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 really good advice. And that is something that I would give my younger self advice on. When I first started learning about mutual funds, investing and stuff like that, I was listening to Dave Ramsey. And that's the gripe I have with Dave Ramsey is he pushes mutual funds. And that's because he refers people to his own mutual fund like financial advisors that push their own mutual funds. He doesn't preach index funds for whatever reason. And that's because mutual funds are actively managed, and whichever kind of brokerage account you sign up with, they will make money, fees, percentages off those mutual funds by you doing that. I learned that afterwards, and I had listened to Dave Ramsey, and I had like freaking 20 mutual funds, which is most of the mutual funds pretty much interlap with each other anyway. And I was paying a ton in fees on these mutual funds, and it was crazy. It was dumb. So, after several years, I learned and figured this out that, Dave Ramsey is just trying to funnel people into his own financial advisors because he gets a kickback, and and those financial advisors refer their own mutual funds. Do you see it now? And I pretty much sold off of everything and put them all into like 3 index funds. And that's really it. And a couple ETFs. So I have maybe 3 or 4 different funds. And that's all you need, because I own pretty much the entire, US stock market of companies in just those 3 index funds.
We reached my net worth goal was opening up an high yield savings account. I don't know why I stuttered or I paused. I glitched. You can open one with Discover, Ally. I personally have one with Discover, Wealthfront things. And the only thing about high yield savings is that it's an online account. So if you have cash on you, that can be a little, sometimes you got to go to like Walmart. You have to go to a CVS to deposit the money. But either way, a lot of my money is in my high yield savings. You want to make sure that you have a good nest eggs. I don't want you to just go ahead and invest without having that nest egg saved.
It's not really a nest egg. It's an emergency fund. My nest egg is my investments. She kind of switched those 2 words, but it's awesome to have a high yield savings account. I don't really have that. I have a money market. It's very similar. And most of these brokerage, accounts and firms that you sign up with to invest to get that Roth IRA, usually that core account where they leave money in before it's invested is some sort of money market that pays practically the same interest to you as a high yield savings account does. So you don't need to have tons of different, accounts opened up all at once.
You need something for emergencies. So definitely put your money that you have been putting in your savings into a high yield savings so that it's making more money and it's making more of a return while you let it sit there.
I agree.
Duh.
I'm a female. I would rather spend my money on fixing my car, food, extra savings. I'm not fond of travel or vacations. They're stressful. I agree. I'm the same way. If I put it in savings, it's like this little pat on the back all the time, knowing that I can handle something if it comes up. I love this because I brought up why I'm not a huge fan of traveling, at least not yet, because it's distracting and it's stressful because it takes away from my work. I feel like work piles up and it's expensive. I don't know. I'd rather spend money on something that I can have. That's going to be it though for today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed today's episode. If you haven't already, definitely make sure to enter that giveaway. Link is in the top of the description. Definitely make sure to smash that like button, turn on post notifications, subscribe. And if you haven't already seen my People Are Posting Their Salaries Online video, definitely make sure to check it out right after this. Peace.